Hey. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Mumbo Jumbo Community Conversations. My name is Chinyelu, and I will be our conversation facilitator today. We are joined by our good friend and a long time Kepra community member, Sharrona Moore. Excuse me. For those of you that are familiar with our work and know what we do, you may know Sharana as the founder of Lawrence Community Gardens, a community farming urban agriculture initiative that was based on Indianapolis's Far East Side. Now she owns a 100-acre ranch, farm, and outdoor retreat in Arizona called the Nitty Gritty Acres. So basically, today we're here to talk a little bit about who she is and what the course of that journey and where she's headed from that. So um, we're gonna, as always, we're gonna get started with our check-in. For those of you who aren't as familiar with the way that we like to run things here in the Kepler sphere, the check-in is a ritual that we do at the beginning of all of our community gatherings, just to make sure that we're prioritizing the relationships between people at all times, and maintaining an awareness of where everybody's at, what everybody needs, and just to make sure that we're taking care of each other, and doing our part as community members in that way. So we'll get started with that. That'll be a number, a color, and then maybe let's say um uh uh let's see. Maybe have you ever grown your own food before? We'll keep it simple, simple like that. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get into the conversation for tonight, and I'll pass it over to Sharana to introduce herself. I'll start the check-in off to maybe demonstrate a little bit about like what that looks like. My number today. Doesn't have to be on a scale of 1 to 10, but I think today I'm gonna say probably like a 7. I was a little bit lower earlier today, and I've been sort of like steadily creeping up, So yeah, and then my color, I'm feeling green like a traffic light. Nas, we got somebody in the waiting room. And my have I ever grown my own food before? Yes, yes, I have. I grew up gardening with my parents. So we used to grow, all the standard stuff. We grew some leafy greens, tomatoes and squash and potatoes, carrots, all sorts of stuff like that. We also have a lot of fruit trees in our backyard, so we used to eat off of those. Well, I say a lot of fruit trees, mostly mulberries, but there were fruit trees in the neighborhood that we used to eat off of. And my parents still have chickens to this day. So we get eggs from there and once a little meat. So, yeah. And I'll pass it to Natasha. Natasha. Oh, okay. Okay. Great. 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 So Natasha says 7 green. No, but Nas, can you scroll down for me a little bit? No, but I've struggled with houseplants, studying herbalism in my career. Hell yeah. Yeah. Hey, you know, houseplants are important too. Yeah. Thank you for checking in. And would love if you tell us a little bit about how your career and how herbalism relates to it if you get a chance. If you can't come off mute, feel free to put it in the chat. Let's see. Demi, welcome. Good to see you, man. Let's hear from you. We're doing our check-in today just to see where everybody's at. That's typically, and that's a number and a color that are both supposed to kind of represent, how you're feeling, where you're at. And then the check-in question for the day is, have you ever grown your own food before?
All right, hi everyone. I'm all right today. As far as a number and a color, is that like on the scale of like 1 to 10, like how good I'm feeling or
Whatever scale you want.
okay. Um, I'd say like a solid eight, a solid eight.
Nice.
And then color, I guess blue. Like blue is just my favorite color, so yeah, I'll just go with blue. In regards to have I ever grown my own food before? No. I actually just got off the phone a few hours ago with someone who was going to help me in trying to start my gardening journey and things like
Hey.
that. And I saw that this meeting was also on my calendar, so I was like, oh, perfect timing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Very excellent. Sweet. And you can just pass it to anybody who hasn't gone yet. That could be Sharrona, that could be Kepper Institute, whoever that is, or it could be our friend Nas, who's over there manning the Zoom.
I can pass it to Sharana.
Hey, let me say that today I am a smooth nine and a light beige. I'm feeling very energetic and awfully peaceful. So, a 10. I was gonna say yellow 10, like Miss Fair, but uh, I just go with a 9, 10. And heck yeah, I've grown food before. Almost my whole adult life, I've grown something. And when I was a little girl, I grew up. My family, were farmers, so uh, I've always been exposed to growing food, and so it's just something that I've always done and continue to do. I'll pass it to Nas.
Oop, I'm gonna come into frame. Hey y'all, Nas here, feeling like a purple 9.5, my usual, and I have not grown my own food before. I got family members that have, and they've offered to teach me, but at the time I was hard-headed and young, you know what I mean? But thank you for the check-in. I'm gonna go and pass it to J. Rue.
Sweet. And what was the question?
Number, color, and have you ever grown your own food before?
Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling like a red and black 10 today. I have indeed grown my own food. For a couple years, I did it at Growing Good in the Hood, and that's where, I cut, what was the phrase? Cut my teeth on it. Yeah, I cut my teeth there at Growing Good in the Hood, thanks to Sister Lakaya and Mystery. So I appreciate them for giving me the space to learn. And then I was able to grow some, I want to say it was watermelon, bell pepper, okra, a lot of tomatoes. Tomatoes grow really, really quickly. And a couple other things, maybe some strawberries too, on my own last year. So it's been nice feeling some of the progression there. And I'll pass it to Pete Fair.
And I'm a yellow tin aspirant, and I was born in 1943 when everybody had a what they call victory garden. So I was growing my own food or helping my mother. Back then you didn't have to worry about field hands because every child turned out to be a field hand. That was your snack if you were hungry. You weed the garden, you get a chance to eat a carrot or a tomato or something. And as an adult, our community garden, in fact, our community garden is filled with growers. We were calling everyone gardeners, but our growers let us know we're not gardeners. We grow food. We are growers, and so our grower experience, I included myself. And when we started, we grew food for ourselves and our neighbors and community. And now we've included our food share, our Sunday food share. So whenever there's harvest, whatever they don't have for their families or their neighbors, they leave for our community food share every Sunday. And people can just come and take whatever it is they feel like they need. It's a wonderful experience to share that. And in our garden, in our community garden, we have it gated because of our four-legged friends who don't like to leave us anything. They just come and gouge themselves. So we fenced it off, but we always have big pots of tomatoes or other vegetables growing on the outside of the fenced area. And that's for the community to just graze whenever they feel like it. And I will pass it to, I think that's Donna Johnson.
Hi. I missed the question. I just hopped in.
Yeah, welcome, homie. The question is number, color, and have you ever grown your own food? And Demi also says period on the grower versus gardener distinction. Yeah. All you, Donna.
I would say number is a 7, color is tan, and have I ever grown my own food? I don't. Oh, well, no, I don't think so. I've like had multiple experiences with like farming and gardening alike, but I actually have never gotten to eat any of the things that I've made, or
Mm.
like that I've grown. And there was once with a friend, we lived at this like house that had this lot where we were like, oh, this would be perfect to make like a little community garden. And we started it and we got to see a lot of the things like get to the point of like almost being ready, but then I moved. And so like I never actually got to like try anything, but it's still there, which is cool. Um, and then just like I've volunteered at farms, but I've never like stuck to see the end of something that like I've put my hands on, I guess.
Hell yeah. Pass it.
We have a
Yeah, I think Mimi's the
farmer.
last person. Oh, what were you
We
saying,
have a
Mrs. Fair? I'm
farm.
sorry.
I said, if you would like to try down of that experience again, we have a farm right down at Meridian in Troy, here in Indianapolis. And every second and fourth Saturdays, we have a volunteer experience. We have a community garden down there that we share the produce with the volunteers who come and help out. We do starters, as we are doing starters right now. This coming up Saturday is the fourth Saturday, and we have something called our annual tree love event where the community can come and pick up a tree or two or three or four or five or six trees, all fruit and nut trees. And those who can, we ask to volunteer to dig a hole and help us plant trees. We got 150 trees to plant. So if you'd like to have that experience again, please come and work with some real dedicated growers here
Yeah,
at
I live in Chicago, but I'm in Indy
oh
semi
my,
often. So yeah, I'm probably gonna be there a Saturday, like sometime in the future. So I'd love to come by if it's one of the gardening days or like growing days.
please do. Yeah, every second and fourth Saturday we have volunteer day where volunteers come down and help us do different things on the farm. So if ever you're in Indianapolis, please come by second and fourth Saturdays especially.
Cool, will do.
You can close us out, Mimi, for the check-in.
Okay. Greetings, y'all. I am feeling like an Amber 8. And yes, I have been blessed to grow my own food many times. Probably the first time was when I went to summer camp and I joined the nature club. And so we did gardening and we grew all these herbs and made different teas with them. And then when I was at IU, I joined like this independent student run garden that was like a very beautiful and like experimental space. We grew all kinds of stuff and it was pretty old. Like some of the people involved had been doing it like a couple decades. And so they had like some really, really, like I think they had like a 30-year-old ginseng plant. It was so cool. And then there was also, I was part of like the campus garden that was like the IU like proper one, which also produced a lot of food and fed it into the campus. And then I came to Kepra and, we have our own gardens and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, thankfully I've been in that process, I guess, since I was a kid. And I guess even before that, my grandpa Buddy had he had fruit trees, blueberry bushes, greens, watermelons. His family was a German farming, one of those historic German farming families in Ohio. So he had a huge garden and always ate fresh when I visited them. Pass it
Thank
back.
you very much. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks everybody for checking in. We may have more folks join us here in person in the space or on the Zoom as the conversation goes on. And if we do, we'll just wait for the natural pause within the conversation to let them do their check-ins as well. But for now, I think we can go ahead and get started with the conversation. So I think the best way really to kick it off, Sharrona, would just be like, you know the drill. You've been here before. An introduction. Who are you? What do you do? You mentioned that you grew up gardening and farming, and now, you're doing that at a scale that, boggles my mind, So, yeah, give us, tell us your story. How'd you get to be here?
Okay. Well, uh, thank you for having me. Thank you to Kepra and as well as to you for inviting me to Mumbo Jumbo. I love being in the Kepra sphere.
And
My
we
name.
here.
Oh,
I love.
I love you. Hi. I'm trying to get on to this laptop real quick because I don't want to run out of battery on my phone. And so I'm opening it right now. So see if you can patch me in through there and then I'll close this one out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's not letting me get on there. I'll try again. But anyway, let me go ahead and jump in. My name is Sharrona Moore, uh, formerly the founder at Lawrence Community Gardens on the far east side of Indianapolis, the 7.5 acre youth farm there in one of America's largest food deserts on the far east side of Indianapolis. Um, my experience is mainly urban farming, but now I moved to Arizona in 2022, and I learned how to farm in the Sonora Desert. So I took a job with the University of Arizona, and with that job, I was able to learn, help manage the demonstration farm that we have at the extension office and learn some of the watering techniques, the type of soil that's here in Arizona, and just how to beat some of the heat of the desert sun with the shade and so forth in order and also which crops grow good here. And so with that knowledge and I just pushed forward with obtaining a farm service agency farm ownership loan. So the farm ownership loan with FSA basically says that you have to have at least 3 years of experience before you are eligible for the loan. The good thing about that is that moving and everything, my credit had took a big hit, and the farm service agency loan doesn't really use your credit score to determine anything. And so that gave me another advantage to be able to pour all of my efforts into creating a strong farm plan, a strong business plan for what I wanted my farm to be like and what I wanted it to produce, and a projection of what I would believe that if I was up at 100%, what it would produce over the course of 3 years, for example. And so back in I started this process with them back in February, I believe, last year, just trying to get the application together and all of the back documents that they wanted, all of the attachments, I should say, that they wanted to go along with it. And it was a lot. But the one thing that I had as an advantage was I had friends in the agency who were able to help me. They would walk me through it, and not that other people would not get that same treatment. But because I did face a challenge there initially. My original loan officer was somewhat of a gatekeeper. And so I felt like he was trying to sabotage my application. And it's your right to ask for a new loan officer. And so that's what I did. And I had journaled the experience with him, with that first loan officer, to be able to prove that I was getting some hesitancy, and you know, they just weren't following protocol, or giving me a fair chance, I should say. But I wanted to make sure that I documented the process so that I could help other people who wanted to go into farming and use farm service agency to acquire the funds to do it. So you can do a conventional loan, but the farm service agency loan was seemed like a good fit for me because they understand farming. You know, we don't make money every month. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of time uh to plan out your crops, and then to once you plant them out, then you gotta put them in the ground, you gotta nurture them and so forth, and then you gotta fight a lot of elements in order to get a successful crop. And so they know that that comes with a heavy a heavy workload, and so that loan is designed to have a payment only once a year. And so, and they allow you to stretch it out for up to 40 years. And so that really helps a lot of people to be able to get into the business and not have to worry about that first payment for a whole year. Um, and so I took advantage of that. I bought the property. Finding property down this way is real easy to do. It's a lot of property this way. Um, Cochise County, especially where I'm at, um, property can be $2,500 an acre or less. There could be some challenges though, like is there easement on the property, or is it landlocked? Are you able to access the property? Is there access to water for the property, or municipal utilities? So, there's some challenges with finding good property, but I found some good property. And so I jumped on it. Um, my property here was about $2,500 per acre. And I was able to get a little over 160 acres. So that's a quarter of a mile, about a quarter of a mile. And so it's relatively flat, but it is surrounded by mountains, so it's just gorgeous. This area is considered a dark skies area, so you can imagine how dark the nights are around here trying to go to the grocery store or something like that. But it's perfect for stargazing, and and of course, like I said, the scenic views, the surrounding of the mountains and so forth. But I got lost in my thought with the farm and how beautiful it is. But I bought the property in June, and it was just been a slow process, of the house was infested with roaches and mice, and the plumbing had collapsed in the house, and it had needed to be smoke abated from the person who previously lived here must have smoked in the house. And so that took us about 6 months to get that together, me and my family, uh working just on the weekends, sometimes coming down just on the weekends. And then finally we made uh the big move over the winter break to be down here. Uh, totally transfer schools, everything, and so since then, we had repaired our well. That was a challenge because there were three wells here on the property, but the water is controlled by an I&I, which is a water authority that says, they specifically say for this area that if you haven't used your well water in 8 years, then you don't have right to use it anymore. So that's a challenge for new people going into agriculture, wanting to farm the land, and not to have rights to water. And so you can drill new wells, but they're not putting any irrigation wells, because of the water access issues down here. So you would have to get a different type of well, which might not be able to irrigate as much land. Um, so anyway, we got that repaired, got the house all repaired and everything, and we just living large, taking charge, big baby. We got our crops in the ground now. We have certified as organic. We probably have the biggest barn in Cochise County. It's a 40 by 50 size barn, hay barn that we plan to run events through, workshops through. Um, we have honeybees here on our property. So I've got an apiary. We've got meat goats, boars. We've got a horse named Nitty, and we've got some ducks now too. Um, yeah, everything's going. We're living here now, and it's just we're just growing. We're almost done with our first tiny house on the property. Just
And you have two beautiful dogs.
Oh my God. I have two amazing puppies. They're 9 months old, and their names are Ruby and Pearl. They're Great Pyrenees. So they're all white, underneath all the dirt. They're all white. And they are just as loving and as friendly as they like to be. They're fiercely protective though of their livestock, and they're fiercely protective of their person. So I'm so happy to be their person. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it seems like everything's in place, and we have an operational farm now.
I'm gonna ask you some more questions about the farm and open it up to questions about the farm from the room. But first, I just wanted to, say thank you for being here. Always great to have you and to learn more about what you're up to. But I did want to just take some time, maybe for the people who haven't met you yet, to, let's go a little further back. Tell us a little bit about how how you came into this like agricultural world and practice, and tell us a little bit about what your agricultural projects were like before this one.
Okay. Well, I want to take you back to my first encounters with Kepra.
Please, please.
So how I became acquainted with Kepra is through growing good in the hood. And my good friend Taisha Ahmed of Mother Loves Garden had a space that she was growing at in the front of Diop's house. And she invited me one day to come and volunteer with help putting planting some transplants over there. And I came, and I enjoyed myself so much in that space, and I got ate up by mosquitoes so bad that day. I remember I think I had 45 mosquito bites. And I met Alvin. And Alvin and Diop, they talked about new media. And at the time, I was growing food, of course, still in a small space in my backyard. But I also was working in the barber shop, as barber. And I said, hey, I'm really interested in getting something going for my business, with my no ceilings barber and this and that. And so Alvin agreed to come on board, right? He said he would help me with getting, a website and so forth. Um, I don't think we ever wrapped anything up with that, but that's how I became acquainted with Kepra and new media. And then shortly, not so long after that, I wanted to take a class with Purdue in the extension department, urban ag certificate class in person. And they offered the class in November. And at that time, it was $400 cash. They didn't allow any payment plan or anything. And it was starting right around Thanksgiving. and I just didn't have $400, but I wanted to take that class so bad. And so I reached out to Kepler and I asked for a scholarship to take that class. And I said, and I said I would do anything for this $400, but they didn't require that. I think Tep and Miss Paulette said, "Well, we gave you the $400. You could just come back and teach us everything you know." And that's what I did. And every week I came and I did a little video series with Reverend Alexander. I never forget. Uh, and I would do them video or recordings with him, and I would have my poster boards, baby. I was a real teacher.
Reverend William Alexander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, blast from the past. And so yeah, we did that. And then I believe that those videos helped you all get growing good in the hood started at the new place over by Hardy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's my history, and
It
so
certainly inspired us.
I
Yeah, it certainly inspired us. I mean, to just stand in the middle of a lot with a bunch of grass on and say, okay, we're going to start growing here. It takes some inspiration. And it certainly inspired us.
Well, that class at Purdue Extension, they said they want everybody had some people didn't have a project, they were just taking it, but they wanted us to have a project. And so some people were doing their backyard, some people had other community garden space like with churches, so forth. But I reached out to Monarch Beverage, and they were a big huge beer and wine distributor right on Pendleton Pike, right there on the end of the far east side community. And I did a little research on them and found out that they were a family-based company. Phil Terry was the executive director of the company, or the owner, whatever you want to call it. And I also did some research on different corporations and how they had contributed to agriculture in different ways they had contributed. And lots of corporations had contributed, but no one went as far as putting the garden on their actual land. And so that's how I pitched it to Phil Terry. I told him that it would make him an industry leader, and it would show Indianapolis that they were highly invested in what they were doing, and they knew the irresponsible consequences that come with people who are under influence, but that they would balance it by putting this garden right there on their property. And that man was shaking his head so hard I thought he had whiplash. And so it was after that meeting he said that I could go ahead and start working over there, and that they would put some things into place and reach back out to me. They did. Maybe about 6 weeks had went by, and I was concerned, like maybe they not gonna I shouldn't be doing it. So I had got the soil test and all of this done, and so they reached back out and they said we got our attorneys that are going to work with you to start your 501(c)(3) so we can donate to you. We're gonna give you $5,000 to start with, and we're gonna give you a big volunteer day. And so that's what they did. They offered me about 120 volunteers that very first time. It was just beautiful. The $5,000, I bought some starter plants, and I cut the grass off the top and added compost because I didn't have a lot of time to turn the soil over. And so and that first quarter acre became that became our You Pick for Free area after a while. But somehow the farm migrated into a youth farm. Like, I don't even know how it actually happened, and God just changed it into what he wanted it to be. But we started just growing food for the pantries. That was the mission. And to provide affordable access to food for the neighborhood. And the kids just kept coming, and I was working them hard, and they just kept coming, and I was like, wow, this is doing something. How can they still want to come back when I'm working them hard like this? And they still kept coming. and then so we became a youth farm, and the kids started making the decisions about what we were going to grow, and how we would market it, and they gave us more creative ideas than I think that I could do myself. My grown up mind and a child's mind, they just don't compare. So their light bulbs were coming on, and they were starting to understand food justice. Even they were understanding how to run the farm stand. They knew what overhead and profit was after we taught them. They could care for the chickens, and one of them would ride their bike to the farm and take care of the farm, when I couldn't. And that showed me how much that garden meant to the community and how much it meant to the children. Because COVID hit, of course. And when COVID hit, that's when we really realized that parents didn't like their kids. And them kids were sad. They were depressed. They were suicidal. And they needed us more than we needed them. And so we just kept working through COVID. We just spread our garden over. We grew on more space, so that people could spread out. And the kids stepped up into leadership roles, and it was just beautiful. And but it was time for me to move. My daughter moved here, and she got pregnant. She needed me, and she needed me more than the farm needed me. And Kepra stepped in and helped me. They helped me move into this new space. So Kepra's been the center of my movement each time that I needed to move. They was there for me. Now somebody else can talk because I done got emotional.
Um, Thank you, Sharrona. Yeah. Um, Man, it's so crazy just like to think about how long it's been, because it really has been like since the Renaissance Center. That is
Mhm.
a minute. Yeah. Demi mentioned in the chat this idea that individualism is a learned behavior, and how uh, kids and teens, young people, tend to be like instinctively, a lot more like collaborative and communal than people think. So I don't know. I was wondering if maybe you could speak to that as somebody who spent a lot of time, working with the young people, and then maybe we could hear from some of the others on the call who have worked with the young folks as well. I wonder how do you see that? Do you see and how does it compare working with young people versus working with adults?
I would choose young people over working with the adults any time, because young kids come with baggage too, but they unload their baggage differently. They unload their baggage with laughter. Sometimes they unload it with tears. Sometimes they unload it by just laying on the ground and crying. And adults, we tend to hold in a lot of the things that are going on with us. And I think that makes the big difference when it comes to getting kids involved, is being allowing them a space to be heard amongst themselves. Like they form cliques in the garden a lot. Uh, they form cliques, and I have to break them out of it, because I feel like everyone deserves an opportunity to know you and to be seen. So I switch them around a lot. You know what I mean? Like they got their normal group that they work in, but on this day we taking two people from this group and putting them in this group type thing, just so we can break outside of our box and learn what diversity looked like. The farm was a place where it didn't matter which side of town you came from, because the parents all had to drop them off. So we would get kids from Pike, Washington, Lawrence, and from the city, and from IPS, And so all those kids coming together, and you have a few that just rise, and the other kids recognize who their leaders are, and they go to their leaders for help, and they go to their leaders for advocacy, and And I found that I got more leaders than what we recognize when we give them an opportunity to lead. But you got to put them in a space where they are able to lead, and then you will see the leaders rise. So that's what I love about Kepler too, because Kepler puts young people in position to lead, and that's how we get our leaders in our community by fostering that. And so I see the difference in working with young people. Uh, I think we need more people who are willing to invest their time in, because I didn't get paid from my garden. So, you know what I mean? Like, that was all labor of love. I never took a salary from the garden. Uh, but that's an investment in the community. And if more people did that, we would have more young leaders in our community and less suicide and gun violence, I think so.
On that piece of just about like, investing in young people and, that idea of like passing the torch, could you tell us a little bit more about how like you like developed your initial interest in, well, I definitely want to hear you talk about your initial interest in like growing food and like agriculture, but also tell us about your experience as a barber as well.
Oh, okay. So I love growing food. So I've always done it. Like I said, growing up, it was weekend experience to go to my uncle's house, my great uncle, my grandfather's brother, who had a hog and chicken farm in Zionsville. But on weekends, that's what we did. We went there on the weekends and we helped work the fields, and we spent time at the farm. We spent the weekends there. And so, um, the smell of pork and pork meat cooking and kerosene heaters is what reminds me of my childhood. But also because of that, we didn't know what fast food was until we was like 6 and 7 years old. Till I can remember the very first time I had Happy Meal. And before that, I would see friends with them. And I would just ask my mom, "Can you just draw it for me? Can you draw me pictures of hamburger, French fries, and a pop?" And so that was my experience with growing food. Uh, it's something that I always did. My grandfather had a large garden in the backyard that, in evenings after school, that's where I went. And that's what we did. We gardened, and he sat out there and told us stories and loved on us. So that just carried me over into adulthood and sparked my desire to want to. I always had a tomato plant and bell pepper plants, and stuff like that growing around the house. Um, that was even the time I was growing some stuff I wasn't supposed to be growing, but I was growing something. Uh, so I'm just to tell you that I've always had green thumbs.
Yeah.
And that kind of even carried over like into wanting to be an entrepreneur. I've always been a serial entrepreneur. Like one little business after, I always had a little side hustle. And so along with the growing food, I used to be the neighborhood braider. So I would French cornrows on the guy's hair, and then I learned how to line them up. I thought I was doing something special then. And that's one day I went to work and I decided that I was gonna quit, and I walked out, and I told my husband that I walked out the job today, and he said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I ain't going back there. I'm going to barber school." And I think he thought I was sick. I lost my mind. I went to barber school, and that's all she wrote. Barbering, these hands have taken me so many places. Barbering competition. I went to work as a barber instructor and director for a school, and that school won School of the Year. Some of my students won the competition that year. That was kind of epic. And even coming here to Arizona, what brought me here was as a cosmetology instructor for Paul Mitchell, the school. So I took that job moving here into Arizona. So I worked there for about a year before I got the job with the University of Arizona. So barbering, and even still now, I still donate my time at the Durango Juvenile Center and cut hair there once a month at the juvenile center here.
You so cool.
And
Real quick, we had somebody new join us, so I want to give them an opportunity to check in as well, and then I want to open it up to the floor a little bit. Maybe give let some other folks throw some questions Sharrona's way. So I think we got Denise Jamerson on the call with us now. Welcome, Denise. It's great to have you. Our check-in question for today is number, color, and have you ever grown your own food? And because I know that you have some experience in that arena, let's say, tell us a little bit about who you are as well.
Hello, everybody. I'm Denise Greer Jamerson. As he said, I am a farmer. I've been in farming all my life, kind of a generational farmer. So yes, I've grown food. My color for today is, I'm going to say blue, because I'm just feeling blue today, but in a good way. I'm feeling good. So sunny skies. So yeah. So I've known Sharrona for a while, and I'm very inspired by Sharrona and the things that she's doing. So I just want to say, hey, Sharrona, and keep going. You're an inspiration.
love you, Denise. Love you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Denise. So yeah,
And
let's
I would like to interject that
go for it.
Denise is the young people that worked with her and developed themselves through her help and support. One especially, Elijah, um, worked with Denise for 5 years, over and over and over again, and grew to be one of her lead instructors. Then when she moved a family out to Arizona, he came to work at Kepra. And he was such a wonderful, wonderful young man. He knew that gardening. And for our ag camp last year, he was our lead instructor and worked with our camp manager so beautifully. And that young man, Sharrona had put him in touch with a USDA gentleman who ran some large Indiana State USDA and got a scholarship to an ag school over in Virginia, and is supposed to work for the USDA as an intern this summer. Of course, with all this happening, he called us and said, hey, listen, if I don't get this internship, can I have my old job back as his camp lead instructor? I say, baby, Kepper, you are so very well trained by the best. Sharrona Moore, you got that job anytime through the summer. And so I just want you to know your legacy goes on, Sharrona.
Oh, thank you so much. His mom keeps me abreast on all of his adventures, and I love that he loved agriculture. And it's you'll find a few along the way that you just feel like, Lord, they got it. And that's the whole reason that I exist, or that I want to exist, is to find at least one that will pick it
You
up.
did.
Thank you, Jesus. I did my job.
Yes, you did. And like I said, he came out of senior high school this past May, and he was headed straight to an ag institutional degree, because that's how interested he is in growing food. It was wonderful. And he doesn't mind putting in the work. You can't be a farmer or a grower and don't use your hands. Plenty of sweat is lost. You get these wonderful feelings from the work you put in, but you will put in work. It is labor intensive. And he did not mind. He came to work every day in a clean t-shirt, and he went home dirty, dirt everywhere. And he showed the other children how to, fix the soil for planting. He was a wonderful asset to the program. Just wanted you to know.
Maybe
I
you
love
guys
that.
maybe you guys could tell us a little bit about
I got a question.
Oh yeah, go for it, please.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Sharrona. I know. We haven't really been able to meet and chop it up like that. I'm a pretty new addition to the Kepler crew out here, but definitely appreciate you sharing your story and just the impact that this space had on you and vice versa, the impact you've had here. Because I mean, like I said, growing good in the hood was how I got into growing. And to hear that you had so much impact on that, just want to say thank you. So, yeah, and one of the big reasons why I got into growing in the first place is, definitely got some dreams around, like you say, you went and just bought up 160 acres somewhere and started farming it. I mean, that's the dream right there. At least in my own mind, a perfect representation of the kind of self determination that I think is also important for us, especially in this next stage we find ourselves in. So I guess ultimately my question is, you know, for people who are looking to do similar things to you, where would you have them start? What have been some of your biggest challenges? And also, what have been some things that you've really had to learn as you've gotten into land ownership?
Ooh, those were some good questions. First thing I would tell somebody to do is find a mentor. Find somebody that's doing what it is that you desire to do and see if they will take you under their wing and teach you what they know. That's the first thing. The second thing is remember that your social capital is just as important as your financial capital. It is sometimes making friends in places that you wouldn't, going through doors that you wouldn't normally go into. So you have to step outside of the box. The box down here is so small. And when I get in the box, I'm the only person of my color in there. Sometimes I'm the only woman in there. But I'm going in there because it's my dream. The next thing I would tell a person to do is to create a strategy, create a plan. Write down what it is that you want to do, what your ultimate dream is, and keep writing it. When I tell you that I drew out this farm on a napkin, I drew it on a whiteboard, I drew it on a post-it note, I drew it on everything. And my family can tell you right now, they was tired of seeing my drawings on everything, on the refrigerator, on the wall, in the bathroom. Do you hear me? I was manifesting at every moment, every room that I went into. I wanted to remind myself of what it is that I want to do. And then I did the research. Where do I start with this? I don't even know. I know that this is the land that I want, and I know that here are my resources. So now I found that I have several resources. In order to get this land, I know I'm not going to get no grant to buy no land. People crazy when they think that they're going to get a grant to buy some land. You got to get a loan. And if your credit ain't that good, then you got to figure out which paths that you can take. I knew that I could take Farm Service Agency path. I knew that the obstacles were going to be gatekeeping. I knew some obstacles might be if I don't have all of my paperwork. I knew that if I didn't file my taxes, you know what I mean, if I had a felony, I knew what the requirements were because I looked into it and I knew that I could do it. It was just going to be a matter of time. And then after I figured out what the requirements, if I was eligible, then I took each day or every other day, whichever time that I had, and I scheduled it. 2 hours is what I'm going to use to work on this part. 2 hours here is what I'm going to use to work on this part. And I enlisted my sister to help too. Can you help me get these quotes that I need to turn in with this loan document? I need some quotes on this stuff. So if you got a partner to help you, that's great. But you got to be able to manifest it. You got to put it out there. You got to keep writing it and keep telling yourself what it is that you're trying to do, and you got to do the work. Don't expect for somebody Like people will come to me and they will say, "Can you help me? I want to learn. I want to know what you did to get the land." And I just tell them, I applied for a loan. But I did my research on the property before I decided which property that I was going to buy. I did assessment on it to see if it was going to be a good property, if it's going to be a good investment. Because I know if it's not, the government's not going to loan on it. I did that before I even started the process of the loan. But it's doable because everybody has this dream of getting a family compound. I want a family compound. I'm going to grow some food and this and that. It's work, baby. Well, Miss Fair said it is work. I be coming in. We get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Our animals are fed before, and everything's done on this farm before we leave for work. And now I don't work anymore. I just work the farm. That's all I do is just work the farm. So I hope I
No,
answered the
I
question.
appreciate. Yeah, I mean, and it's a lesson I continue to learn every day that the reward for good work is more work. So appreciate hearing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's peaceful though. It's real peaceful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, better to be doing your work than their work, right?
Right.
How's your health out there in all of that fresh air and eating freshly grown produce?
Good question.
Miss Fair, I'm getting stronger and better. Last year I had a herniated disc. I woke up one day and I couldn't walk. And it was right at the time that I was buying this farm. And I just woke up one day, I couldn't walk, right? So I ended up having to have this emergency surgery to fix this herniated disc. But the doctor told me, he was like, well, you might not be able to run anymore and you might not ever be able to ride a horse again. And I was like, wow. And you remember when they told me that after I had a heart attack, I was going to be on blood pressure medicine and blood thinners for the rest of my life? I'm a person who will prove you wrong. So when I went back to see my neurosurgeon, I was running and I got a horse now. So I be riding horses, baby. And so I have surprised him. I'm doing very well. Yep, doing very well.
Hard work does not kill you.
No, nope.
What's your vision looking like for the farm from here? And I guess like tell us a little bit more about like tell us a little bit more about that vision, the nitty-gritty acres and what that
Mm-hmm.
means.
Nitty Gritty Acres is certified organic now. I received my organic certification on the 7th, just a couple of days ago. Excuse me. So now my land, my 120 acres of my land is certified organic. We are growing some variety specialty crops. We're growing a variety of type of lettuces and radishes, some Swiss chard. We grow sunflowers. Also, peppers and onions and cucumbers and tomatoes. We also grow alfalfa, organic alfalfa for livestock feed, and buckwheat for seed production. Um, our boar goats are organic. Our meat will be organic. My livestock has to go through a different certification. But also our honeybees are organic and our honey is organic as well. Our eggs are organic. So we're just a totally organic farm. We also have this wellness component, a wellness retreat component. So I had my first weekend camping event where I hosted a group that came down and we did workshops. We did a bugging out workshop, gardening workshop. Uh, we had bonfire, a little shindig, a little party that went along with it, and of course, uh, we had cowboy church too on Sunday. Cowboy church, we don't have preacher, we just have music, and that just kicked off the whole wellness retreat that is happening here where people are able to come and rent the space. They're able to rent the RV, they're able to rent a tiny house, or they're able to rent a tent bundle and just stay out here at the farm and customize a retreat from 3 days to 5 days. So anywhere from 3 days to 5 days. And right now I'm taking groups of up to 10. The goal for our farm is to just plant out our whole 120 acres within the next 3 to 5 years and open up a store here at the farm as well. So we're going to be digging a pond within the next 3 to 5 years too.
Is it because you're in Arizona, are you able to grow like pretty much 24/7?
Yeah, well, where I live at specifically, the elevation is about a little over 4,000 feet. And so our nights get really cold. Like last night, it got down to freezing. And then the daytime is like 90. So, I mean, it's a drastic temperature change. And so, but the climate here can be tricky. It's not like Phoenix or even Tucson where you can probably grow all year round. But yes, you can grow. The short answer is yes, you can grow all year round, but we can grow all year round in Indiana too. We just need season extension techniques. And so same thing here. It's a different type of season extension technique that you use, but mainly there are crops that are going to love the cold here. The cold weather, like our lettuces, our kales, our leafy vegetables, broccoli, so forth. Those are all going to be good. As long as they're mature, they're going to make it through our winter season. We just had a little bit of frost, you know what I mean? Like not really hard freezes, I would say, just down to like freezing.
So
Natasha was wondering where folks can go to book a stay.
You can go to healingtimegardens.com.
Nas, could
Healing
you put that in
Time.
the chat for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me put it in the chat.
and I was just wanting you to, how did you decide to, hey, listen, this is so gorgeous and so lovely. People are they just need to know this is here so that they can come on out here and enjoy this beautiful place. So how, you're that kind of girl that would say, what else can I do? So what led you to, was it somebody who came and said to you, can we use your land for our retreat?
No, actually I offered it to them. Because always with your farm, you're always looking at other ways to make money on your property, and so, well, for me, um, I knew that this was a place for healing and this is where I came for peace. And I wanted to be able to share that with other people. So, being able to offer the wellness retreat was something that I wanted to do in conjunction with some other ladies that I know. One that does equestrian therapy. There's another that does like suicide and mental health awareness and skill building. Um, and then, we have the gardening component. Um, we have yoga instructors. So just having those resources available and talking to these people like, hey, let's put this together. And then that way, as people book, now it's not just an income for me, but now it's an income for the other people around me too. And so it becomes more of a community based project with the more people I get involved. So we know that from Lawrence Community Gardens, when we get the kids, we got the parents, right? We got the aunties, we got the uncles, the grandparents, you know what I'm saying? We got they friends. So, it's just a way to engage the community and bring everyone in the community in by, bringing more people into the space. I'm all
Did
about
you
the.
have
Go
did you
ahead.
have one person that you said, hey, listen, I'm doing this over here, so you develop the retreat piece? Or did you do it as a collective?
Well, it was, Miss Ferry was always my idea to do it. And it was Healing Time Garden was what it manifested itself before I even got here. Before I even got to this farm, it was something that was manifesting before I even got here. Sometimes you start off doing one thing and then it migrates into something else, and that's how that happened. I wanted to do something very similar like Lawrence Community Gardens, and so that's why I named Healing Time Gardens. But it didn't fit for this space. It didn't fit for Phoenix. You know what I mean? And so I had to figure out something else that I wanted to do with that name and with that business, that nonprofit side. You know what I mean? Because Healing Time Garden is nonprofit. So what do I want to do with that, and how do I want to utilize Nitty Gritty Acres with this other nonprofit? And so the nonprofit is the one that actually runs the wellness retreat.
And I see we got a hand up from Mimi. You should
Hey.
know by now that she don't have to do that, but it's okay.
I knew Mrs. Bear was on the call, so. But hey again, my love, Sharrona.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so glad you came to us tonight. I just feel like we should do mumbo jumbos with you regularly because you are always building, manifesting, and creating new things, and like it's always so exciting and just lifting to the spirits. Um, so thank you for coming through with that. And I feel like of all the people I've ever met, you are this incredibly unique combination of like next level vision, but also execution. You dream big and then you like put in the work to make it happen and whatever adjustments you have to make as you go, but you see it through like fully to that big, big, big dream that you set out. And so I always admire that and inspired by that, like Denise was saying. But I was actually gonna ask Natasha because she mentioned where do you book a trip? I was just wondering like what you have going on and like if what Sharrona shared, like what were you thinking as far as are you looking to visit?
Yeah, so I actually curate retreats. And so I am currently in the process of planning for like about I say maybe like Q3 and beyond and going into 2026. And so I have recently been researching spaces where I can host retreats throughout the country. And so I'm very much interested in hopefully being able to utilize that space. And my retreats focus on recovery and well-being, and recovery is not limited to those who identify with recovery in respect to addiction or mental health challenges. It's for folks who are recovering from grief, who are recovering just from life transitions, or who are just trying to find a moment of solace in the midst of the chaos in the matrix. So yeah, that's me.
Natasha, would you drop your contact in the chat, please?
Because
Absolutely.
we got some retreat space too now. We got a
Yeah.
few retreat
Yeah.
spaces.
Yes, please. I'm literally just getting back into this space after about a almost 2 year hiatus. And so I have to kind of regroup in terms of what spaces are available and out there. So this is perfect. I appreciate y'all.
How
Work
did you
out.
find out about the conversation today?
So I went through the alchemy cohort a few years back.
Yeah.
And I remained on the mailing list, and I do try to tap in when I can. It just so happens that a lot of the programming with my own organization tends to overlap with your programming. So even tonight, I literally had y'all in one ear, and I was facilitating a support group in the other. So as much as I do this work, I also still have to do things that are for me and my benefit. And yeah, I tried to tap into this because this was definitely something that I needed to hear as I'm pivoting in my career.
Well, thank you so much for being here, man. It's great to hear that you saw us as worth that that multitasking energy.
Absolutely, because I try not to exert it too often.
Yeah.
Definitely remember you from our alchemy cohort. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, you were in our alchemy program, right?
I
Uh,
was, I was.
yes, I definitely remember you. Great energy. And
Gratitude.
yeah, heck yeah. And I'm glad you're back. And I also would love to hear just a little bit more about Mercy, like your organization and what you all are focused on and up to.
Absolutely. I always love to share about Mercy. So that's MRCI. Our government name, if you will, is Minority Recovery Collective Inc. And this organization is peer led and peer focused, looking to provide support both personally and professionally for folks who identify with recovery. So we have programming for our members that we also open up to our community. And then we also offer training and certification in terms of peer support. So that's the quick elevator pitch there.
You mentioned folks who identify with recovery and, the idea that recovery isn't necessarily always about recovery from addiction. Could you talk a little bit about, just what you mean by that and like what kind of like recovery Mercy like specializes in?
Absolutely. So the the lens of recovery that we utilize through Mercy really talks about our holistic well-being, and I believe that recovery isn't. Let me gather my words. Addiction and a lot of the things that we see in terms of mental health challenges are honestly just symptoms of larger issues. Most of us are just trying to cope and survive the oppressive systems that we are living in. And so the way that we may cope, the way that, we process and deal with things is all different and sometimes unhealthy, and that can lead to disorders, disease, and ultimately illness. And so mercy is really about getting to the root of things and trying to find ways and create means of support for folks who are looking to get well and stay well within the systems that we are in. And we also support those who are like, I don't want nothing to do with none of this. I need a whole new way of living. And we do our best to connect them with entities such as Kepra and other folks are already who have already created spaces that I like to consider sovereign, and that truly help to bolster our humanity and our well-being as people in general, and helping them to find a pathway that best suits them. Yeah, because a lot of programs out here focus on making sure that folks who are in recovery or identify with recovery, however they do, a lot of it is centered around workforce development and making them more productive members of this society, but doesn't actually help them and support them in just being well as a
Yeah.
being. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I love all of that. Yes.
Hey, Sharrona, good to see you.
Yes, I remember you from when I was doing Indiana Black Farmers Co-op.
Yes, 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 yes.
Good to know you're still doing the
Yes, ma'am.
mental health and recovery. Good to
Yes,
know that.
ma'am.
You'll probably, Natasha, you'll probably be getting a message from Scarabus Consulting very soon as well. So be on the
I look
lookout and
forward
thank you
to
for
it.
being here. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Gratitude for
Yeah.
having me.
Of course. Of course. Sharana, I did have another question for you. Because you went from I think you said 7 acres at LCG to 160 at Nitty Gritty, and then as well as just like totally new like ecosystem you're in as well, like literally. So I guess like could you talk about like some of the challenges that came with like I guess like one like the major change in like the scale of your project, as well as what it was like moving from, like changing biomes. And maybe talk about a little bit your work at the university a little bit as well in that.
Definitely the biggest uh, thing that I had to adapt to was the heat. I think I suffered the first summer that I worked outside, 2023. I suffered so much dehydration. You know what I mean? Like in the hospital a few times for dehydration because you have to prime your body, um, ahead of time before you even go outside here. So, you know, the temperatures rise. The winter, first of all, the climate here is beautiful. The summer is comparable to a winter. Summers in Phoenix can be so hot that nothing will want to grow. Just the opposite of it being so cold that nothing wants to grow. It's so hot that nothing wants to grow. And so, I had moved here, left my farm in the beginning of the spring, you know what I mean? Or I'm sorry, at the beginning of the summer, and moved here to Arizona, not even really realizing uh, the type of heat wave that I was coming into, and how many stretched like 48 days of 120 or plus, degrees type stuff. But I still started a garden in the back, and that's how determined that I was that I was not gonna leave growing food, right? I left my farm, but I'm not gonna leave growing food. So I put shade out there. I mean, I had irrigation timer set, and still the summer was tragic. But after summer was over, I was still. I mean, I grew a lot of mustard greens and collard greens uh, in the backyard. Uh, and then I was still working so much at Paul Mitchell that I couldn't really get outside the way that I wanted to. So I started looking for a new job. When I started working for University of Arizona, one of the things that the job description said, it said outreach, beekeeping, working with young people, doing workshops, teaching, all the stuff that I was doing at the farm. But I also said managing the people's demonstration farm. So the one that they have on site. And I that was the main thing that drew me in because I wanted to learn how to grow in this climate. Nothing was growing in the summer like it normally was growing in Indiana, and I was discouraged. But going to university, then of course the first person that, well, she started the same day I did, was another urban farmer named Sarah. Sarah Hipperson took me to her space where she's growing on a quarter acre. And I mean, we work together every week, every week, every week. Uh, Out there once a week there, but also we worked outside back, getting our own demonstration farm going at the extension office. To get it ready for a grand opening, we had to put plants in the ground. We had to put in irrigation. We bought all the newest, latest, and greatest tools to cut labor for small farmers. Uh, and so I was learning, I was picking up everything that was getting put down so that I could grow at home. And so eventually I did it. I was having a lot of success at home in the backyard. And so I was like, well, it's either take this leap. I, I would share with you that I met a lady. I met another lady. This is what really took me from the backyard to here. There's this lady that she lives not too far from me down here in Cochise County. Her name is Rachel Stewart. She's the founder of Southwest Black Renters. Uh, and she was coming to a lot of the workshops that we were having at UA, and she was talking to me, and she was going through a divorce, and she was by herself, and she was running this farm, 150 acres, this ranch, and I'm like, how are you doing it? You know, she's mostly livestock though. She's not growing crops, and she told me that if I can do it, you can do it. You're just gonna have to hire some people. And we cried together that day and talked about a lot of stuff that was going on in our marriages. But ultimately, I went to visit her and at her farm down here in Cochise County, and it was so beautiful and it was so peaceful. I almost didn't want to leave. And that night we sat down. She said, "Let's find your farm." We done poured us a little glass, a little cocktail, baby. She said, "We're gonna find your farm." And we started looking on different sites and stuff like that. And came across this place, and this was in February. And the next morning we woke up and we drove over here to look at it. And she was like, "Oh, Sharrona, this is a good place." And so we went back and we started doing research on the place and seeing about, the water and all this and that. And she said she helped me to find this place. And it was because of her that I decided to do it, because this was the first thing that I did after getting a divorce, after being on my own. I did it all on my own, and it was big. And and I just knew that I wasn't going to fail. If I was going to bet money, I'm going to always bet on myself, because I am going to follow through. A lot of people don't know how to start something and finish it. But growing up, I was always the person that never finished. And when my mom was dying, I was in school. My mom said, "I don't want you to quit, because you quit everything you ever started. Just don't quit." And after that, just stuck with me. Don't ever quit, you know? So I don't. Till it's done, I'm not going to quit. Anyway, I hope I answered that question about how I got here.
Yeah. No, that was great. That was great. Thank you.
That was like shocking too, because never quit is who you are, who I've always known you to be. And I just
Mhm.
kind of assumed you've always been that way. So that was very shocking, but also like just how your mom impacted you.
Yeah,
Um,
she was dying, and
yeah.
she had cancer, and I wanted to quit school so bad and stay home and take care of her. And she told me no,
Wow.
that don't quit, because I used to quit all the card games, board games. I would quit in a minute, baby. Quit and walk away. I ran track, quit in the middle of the run. She said, "Just don't quit." And I just never did it. I never quit anything after that.
Well, I know she is so proud of you.
Thank you, Mimi. I be striving for that.
Mhm.
Honestly, you should always strive to make your ancestors proud.
No doubt. What's your mom's name?
Deborah.
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 I think it's really really stands out to me just how, like, you know, throughout your journey, like even like after, sort of like moving away, at least physically, from the Kepler community, and like, like moving to Arizona, sounds like you're still like, the community engagement, is still such a big part of like the way that you move through things, and the way that navigate your opportunities. Um, yeah, I guess, like, how does that how do you see that as, I guess, like, maybe just talk a little bit more about your experience, like, using social capital to get to where you're trying to get to.
I didn't know much about social capital till I met Imhotep Adisa. And he said, "Come over and have some coffee on the porch." And I didn't know what social capital was. I had to learn the value of making friends, you know what I mean? And talking, not just business, just to be in each other's presence sometimes. I had to learn the importance of laughing with a friend, making a friend through laughter or a good story. Um, and so I do love community, and I love outreach. I love providing technical assistance. So there is nothing that I won't share, no information that I won't share. I ain't gonna give you my social security number and birthday and stuff, but outside of that, you can get it, uh, because I always believe that uh, even when the barbershop, like they could put a barbershop on every corner, but I'ma still eat because people don't buy haircuts, they buy you. And so I can sell me. Uh, I can sell my authenticity, and I can.
And you can certainly share and sell your barbering skills. During the pandemic, none of us wanted to go to a barber shop. So Sharrona came over and we have an old barber chair. We put that barber chair on the porch and she came over and cut everybody's hair. Mimi's hair, my I don't care what kind of hair you got. It was a beautiful cut. She cut Mimi's hair, Agila's hair, my hair, and Rasul's hair.
Mhm.
I don't know how she did it, but we all walked away looking gorgeous.
Yes, y'all did. Y'all did. Thank you so much for that. They helped
Period.
because the
And thank
barbershops
you,
closed
Sharrona.
down. And the barbershops closed down, honey. I was still trying to keep these hands busy and make a little money on the side. So I appreciated that. But
But
yeah,
about like so for 8 years you were the only person who cut my hair, and there were times when I needed a haircut and I could have gone to anybody, but like yeah, I wanted to support you. I only ever wanted to get my haircut, by Sharana, and girl, I miss you.
And she created some monsters over here because we were taking some really shaggy heads because we had waited 6 months to 7 months wait for us to have a chance to go and sit in your chair after the pandemic.
oh, I love that. That's part of the social capital. It was more than just about growing food, and it was more than just about providing a haircut. That was uh knowing that we were gonna have some time together and we was gonna laugh, and you was gonna be beautiful when you got done, and I was gonna put all the product in your hair, and I was gonna let me flat iron it, let me do this. So anyway, that was the extra love that I was able to give back to my family over there at Kepler. But social capital has come to now in my life where I'm at now. It has come to be more important than finances because the finances are gonna come. We're gonna find the money. You know what I mean? We'll find it. Money come, money go. But it's the good people that you meet along the way. People can bring you to the money. When you're a good person and they see your dream. Like people will see me and they will see, girl, you are running and you are going, you doing exactly what you said you was gonna do. And they'll believe. They believe in you and they will support you. And so I just try to stay true to what I say and love on people hard while I got a chance. And I let them love me back too, because that's a challenge too. Sometimes you be want to love somebody, they don't even want to be loved. But love on me, baby. You want to hug me? You want to give me some money? Come on.
You doing any of your comedy club? Because you did comedy here.
I know. Well, I moved here, so the comedy scene is different here than it is in Indianapolis. Like in Indianapolis, they just book you. They don't care if you have a large following or sell a lot of tickets. They will just book you anyway. But a lot of the promoters in Indiana don't want to pay, so that's a thing. But here in Arizona, they don't want to pay you and they don't want to book you unless you can sell tickets. And so, you're moving into a new environment. You gotta gain followers. And so, but also moving here, I was looking for a slower life. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot slower here in Arizona than it is in Indiana. It's not as much culture. You
What?
gotta go find the culture. You know, what I mean, culture's not just like all around you like it is in Indiana. Culture's everywhere. It's all around you. But here you gotta find it. It's not that it's not here, but you have to drive to find the culture. You gotta look for it. And so I just decided moving here that I wanted a little bit slower life. But I do theater. I'm in a theater group called BRC Theater Group, and we have a Black History play that we do in Black History Month, but then also it's gonna go on and we're gonna put it on again in Juneteenth. So, I get to do my comedy through theater now. So I'm the narrator.
Are your kids in that?
Wonderful.
Yep, my kids are in it too.
How are they doing?
Oh, listen, Zion is 17 and a half, going on getting ready to get his head knocked off. And Heaven
Yeah.
is doing good, honey. She's still my little angel. But Zion, I be looking at him some days. I be like, boy, you better be glad I love you because I will knock your head clean right off.
Yeah, 17.
Woo. And he got a
Ye-
little girlfriend. Let me tell you, I don't
Oh
know what's that.
boy.
You know, you can always tell when they done moved into a new level of maturity because he's a little bit disobedient now. So that's something we working with. But other than that, he's a fabulous boy. And he don't have too many malicious bones. He got maybe two or three, but not a whole lot. Uh, he got a few, but Heaven, baby, me and her is a whole vibe. When I move, she moves, and she wants to go everywhere with me.
Hell yeah.
They're
She's
doing
not.
good though. I'm surprised they don't really care to live out here because it is so rural. You know, nearest grocery store is 30 minutes away. Their schools
Mhm.
are 50 minutes away.
Is
So
he in school?
that's a challenge too, by the way, that their schools are 50 minutes away and no bus or nothing. So, uh,
Is he still playing sports?
well, basketball season is over, but if I Google his location, if I look at Find Me, he's at the school right now playing basketball. If I look at where he's at, Heaven is in on Wednesday. Every Wednesday they have half a day. So not half a day, early release every Wednesday. So Heaven's here. I was just getting home from picking her up when this was starting because it's 4:36 here, so it was 3 o'clock when this started, and I think 6 o'clock your time.
Yep.
Mm. Everybody's doing good though. All the animals are happy. The kids are happy. The mama's happy. So all is well.
You
Happy.
mentioned ducks. Is that for eggs?
Yeah, ducks. We got some black ducks. They're black runners. They're so pretty. And we're gonna get some duck eggs. Yes, duck eggs are a little bit more richer than chicken eggs, and ducks are more resilient. More resistant against like avian flu and that kind of stuff. So we decided to go with ducks instead of chickens.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
How, how do you keep them on the property?
Ducks they fly, but they don't really care to. You know what I mean? Like they like to stay close to where they're being taken care of. So, and the other thing is that we are building this little bitty, a little pond. So I found this project on Pinterest because we got this big tractor tire. It's a huge tractor tire, and so we're gonna bury it almost to the ground, and then fill that with water and make them a little pond. Um, So we're gonna do that for them. So that should be done here within a few weeks because they're in the house right now. Well, we got another house over here. There's three houses on this property,
Mm.
and one of them we call it the goat house. It was the original settlement house here. And so we're knocking the walls out of that and using it as goat containment at some point. Right
Mm.
now they're just in a smaller place, but as our herd grows, we're gonna move them there as the herd grows. Right now they're still kind of small. And then there's another house. It's a mobile home, a double wide mobile home, and it needs a lot of work, but it's still kind of solid, But it needs a lot of work done to it, and that's the house that we're fixing up so that our interns can stay there.
Mm.
Because I'm now offering internships here. So room and board is provided. Um, and of course, there's some stipulations with the room and board. So I just give them a grocery stipend. And because I was feeding my intern, my farmhand, but that just, nah, baby.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep. I see you looking, Natasha. So tell all your friends. Uh-huh. We offer internships so you can come down here and take advantage of all this in exchange for work.
You mentioned the bird flu, and I know that that's a challenge, like definitely a challenge of the current moment. I also, and there are a lot of those right now, politically, like environmentally as well. And I know that like a lot of people are being affected in different ways. And I know that like farmers is definitely like, one of those groups that's, been hit by the turmoil. So I'm wondering basically just like, any challenges that you've experienced, like based on just like the current state of the world and chaos
Right.
of the world, or any opportunities,
Like this new administration.
Hey, I wasn't gonna call
I
say no
know,
Well,
but
names,
that's
I
but
mean,
telling.
we got to talk about it though, right? Because
yeah.
the new administration doesn't value urban agriculture at all. So, growing in the city is, all of the options, all of the opportunities that have come in the recent years for urban ag are now being pulled away. So, some of my friends that are working with Farm Service Agency, some of my friends that are working with NRCS, like I am on the county committee for Maricopa County for Farm Service Agency. So I actually work for Farm Service Agency for the county in being a voice for urban ag producers. And so a lot of the funding that was available for us has been they've backed out and are on hold. And so a lot of producers have applied for funding and invested in thinking that they were going to be receiving the funds and now are not going to be receiving them. And it is so sad what's happening in our ag. Like you're going to see a shift in the ag movement because producers are undervalued right now. This is hard work. And when people go to the grocery store, they don't know how hard it is to get their food out of the ground and to the grocery store. And so, the distribution chain is going to be affected. It's already being affected. Um, a lot of the product availability is going to be affected. Mexico leads the world in a lot of the peppers, you know what I mean, that are being produced. Those things are going to, avocados are coming from Mexico, a lot of your citrus comes from Mexico and Chile is imports on a lot. All of these things that the new administration are now adding tariffs to, or not, or putting a stop to. The countries are just like agriculture is suffering greatly, and it's not going to get good. It's not going to get better. Now the price of eggs will probably come down and are likely to come down here within the next month or two because
Great.
though well, those producers now are produce, their livestock numbers are coming back up because of incubation. You know what I mean? So they're incubating, and their livestock numbers are going to rise again. And of course, now they have to give their vaccinate their animals. You know what I mean? So that's something that has to happen too. So the egg prices are going to drop, but people are not really realizing they're going to buy all these chickens. And by the time their chickens are even ready to lay eggs, the eggs prices will be back down. So even for us here, all I can tell you is that there's funding out there. Like there was $83,000 worth of funding that was supposed to come this year. That's not going to come for me.
Wow.
It's not. That's just the reality of it. $83,000 worth of funding that is not going to come.
So how are
That's
you
good.
adjusting to that?
Well, went ahead and certified as organic because I do have mentor, right? I'm in this program called the TOP program. It's a transition to organic partnership program through Arizona State University Sweetie Center. And so I was paired with a mentor to help me get through the organic process. The idea is for mentors and mentees to be paired together and create this synergy of being able to support each other. So these producers are wanting to transition livestock to organic, but don't have a source for organic livestock feed. And so I'm going to grow their livestock feed, so that they can transition their animals to organic. The costs, the inputs are less, but more labor intensive, if that makes sense, for organic. So that still is allowing us to sell our products at a premium price and to each other. So I created a niche market for myself, basically by growing organic alfalfa.
Right, and like also you already have all these things that you're already working. You have a mentor, you enrolled in this program, like you looked for the other ways. You're always looking for the other ways to make money to support what you're doing. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to see you like work the plans and adjust them. And right now, tons of people are experiencing funding cuts, and for a lot of people, it's like almost like they don't know how to move forward. It's almost well, I guess this is over now. So seeing someone who's able to pivot and like use what you already had and find the next opportunity is really helpful.
So had you already had plans to pivot toward to, get like organic certification and like, get into that niche around like livestock feed, or was that something that you sort of decided on after just looking at the direction that the environment was headed in?
I am a big advocate for regenerative agriculture, for organic and sustainable agriculture practices. So it has always been in my plan to be organic and to be certified as organic and to grow organically on this land. That was part of my plan, and that's how I pitched it to Farm Service Agency in order to acquire the funds to get the property and an operational loan to work the plan. So yes. Now I can say that agritourism was not part of my plan. So bringing Healing Time Gardens, that agritourism piece for that wellness component, and also renting. Like I have RV on the property that I have on Hip Camp that you can rent the RV. You can always rent that. And then the tiny house, once it's finished, you'll be able to rent that. So those are some other things that I added into my plan to help make money here outside of the agriculture, outside of the produce that's growing.
Do you think that with the consequences of the slash and burn, instead of, because everybody in the United States felt like there was some places for more efficient running of agencies, but the old slash back, if indeed they even think about bringing them back, the consequences really, they're felt now, but they'll really be felt in failed systems in the future. Do you think that'll encourage people to go and insist on these services coming back on board?
Well, people are insisting right now, and I think I think what it is going to do, and this is how I feel about what the administration is doing. and what I see from my institution side. It's a scare tactic. So thank you, Natasha. You are too, girl. But it's a scare tactic. So right now he's coming in like guns blazing. I'm gonna cut all these things, and then he's gonna bring them back slowly. As he feels like his supporters need. So I think supporters are going to drive what programs are coming back and why. And if that makes sense. Right now, I would practice more of self-sustainable practices without our people being able to rely on government programs because of the uncertainty of them altogether. That's why we out here putting the food in the ground. That's why I'm making pivots in the way that we're doing business and adding different revenue streams here is because uh we can't rely on any government programs right now. Not any funding that's going to come down the pipeline. They still giving out loans, but you got to pay them back. So you got to have a real strong business plan. So right now, I think that it would behoove people to think that any of the programs are going to come back, because if they do, they're going to be limited. And without having DEI in place, without having specific funding pools for people of color, for BIPOC farmers, it's going to be tough for us. And so we have to rely on our resources and our each other, for the step ahead. And so that's also why I decided to go ahead and open it up for interns here so that I could teach you how to do this. I'm still learning some things here too, but it's still an opportunity to gain experience that you need in order to get a loan to get your own land, because we want you to have your own acreage and we want you to be successful. So I can teach you the process, but you got to be available to come learn it. So to have a space where you can come that's peaceful, you know what I mean, where you can work and learn, your room and board is taken care of. You just got to work it. And so that's why I decided to do the internship.
That's beautiful. Passing it along. Don't take it to the grave with you.
Never.
Yeah, definitely.
Sharrona, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know us well. What do you feel like Kepra should be focusing on in this moment?
Focus on the children. I always focus on the young people. That's what y'all do the best. That's what y'all do the best. It's not gonna be a whole lot of money out there. It's always gonna be money for kids, though. You know.
Thank you, love.
Yeah.
He's trying, but some kids just I'm gonna say slow.
Yeah. You know one of the things my key takeaway with working with volunteers and with young people at the farm is that sometimes they come just because they need to get away, not because they want to work.
Yeah.
And
That's the truth.
they just need a space and an opportunity to just get away. And I just let them be. And I tell them, now you could keep coming, but I ain't finna pay you. You know that. You can keep coming, but you ain't getting no money. You ain't doing no work.
I think that's a good policy.
You can keep coming, baby, but you ain't getting paid.
Right. If you can't put in to help sustain the organization so that it will flourish, then using the resources to give you an allowance, it's just not, it's not good for them.
Nas over there shaking his head.
Yeah. And sometimes they be needing something. Them kids need an outlet, give them that. Now listen, asking them what is it that you like to do. What do you think that you can do? And then let them do that, but y'all good at that. But them kids, sometimes they don't want to do nothing. They just want us. One boy thought he felt like it was a punishment. It's a punishment to come to the farm. He's getting punished. So to get him out of the mindset of that, like, let's play some games. You know what I mean? We got some water guns here. Like, it ain't all work. You know what I mean? We having a lot of fun. So, they just want to come. They just need a place to go sometimes.
You mentioned
It's
earlier
the
about
truth.
you mentioned
No, I
earlier
just wanted
about
to co-sign. I'm sorry, baby, to interrupt you. I just wanted to co-sign. I have really found that sometimes young people wander into Kepler and they just are looking for a place to be with other young people.
Yeah. A place
They're
where they
not
can
ready
be
to.
accepted. Because I remember,
Little do they know.
Evan. Evan, I remember the reason why I chose Evan for the Farm Pro. He was one of my first next generation farmers. One of the first guys that I said yes to. But I had interviewed him and I asked him why did he want to be a part of the farm, and he told me because he didn't have no friends and that the kids didn't like him. And when I left there, I cried, baby. I cried because how? You know what I mean? How can nobody not like you? But he was his own person. He didn't fit in with a bunch of groups. And it was because of that. But what happened was Evan came to the farm and he was scared of bees and he learned how to manage the bees, and then he wasn't scared of bees no more. He learned how to make friends and he made friends and he laughed a lot. And Evan became a leader that other people came to for questions, and for resolution. And so that's what came from Evan. Evan became a leader because Evan was given an opportunity to just be there, just to come.
yeah, Demi
Elijah
mentioned
didn't speak. Elijah didn't talk for 2 years. I didn't think I heard him talk 2 years. But he was picking up everything that we was putting down. And he was going home and doing it at home. He was going home and building a garden. They just need a place. Y'all youth program, y'all gonna be the biggest thing in the city. No, for real.
yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely, you mentioned the killing of DEI and all that, and I definitely feel like and Demi mentioned in the chat, just like the loss of like, third spaces and just like places for people to go and hang out and meet each other and build relationships. So I definitely think that like, yeah, now more than ever, it's important to have folks who are like really like just creating space.
Uh-huh.
Spaces like this, spaces like Nitty Gritty Acres, spaces where people can just come and meet each other and learn from each other and build together. So, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to see you, you know, carrying on the good work.
Yeah, I learned from the best.
It's about 7:57. I think we maybe got time for one more question if anybody has anything that they want to ask, or Sharrona, if there's anything you just want to say, just want to leave us with.
Let's see if there's any questions.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a social media page. It is Nitty Gritty Acres. I'm on Instagram. Um, I have a Facebook page too now. I haven't put anything on it, but it's on. I got a Facebook page now. And Damon, he done made my website for me, nittygrittyacres.com. And then also he made my Healing Time Garden website, and that's where you would be able to book a farm stay or a tour. You can purchase products on Nitty Gritty Acres page. We don't have any products yet for sale through our CSA, because our first 11 weeks of our CSA shares are going to food banks in Maricopa County.
Yes. And thank you for letting everybody know how they can, stay up to date with you and support you. Yeah, and thank you one more time for being here with us today, Sharrona. Always great to hear from you. Always great to get an update on what's going on in your world. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, appreciate you, Mr. Rana.
Oh,
Always
thank
good
you.
to stay.
Love you,
Every
baby.
I love
everybody,
you, God.
please.
I love you
My
all so
dear.
much. Thank you for the good work that you continue to do in the community. And
Thank
I
you.
always look to see more Kepler,
Yes,
more of
ma'am. And
Kepler.
I also
there,
see a Kepra field trip to Nitty Gritty Acres in our future.
Listen,
yeah.
let me tell you right now that you can rent RVs for less than $75 a night, and we can put about 12 RVs on this lot for a
Let's
weekend.
let's
So
go.
pull up.
Maybe that's where our 2026 staff retreat will be. Who knows?
Well, let's
Don't threaten
go.
me with a
I will
good
be
time,
a
Sharana. I promise.
y'all not gonna want to leave because I'm gonna treat you like family.
Be careful. We'll make sure to put nitty gritty in the green book. Don't worry.
Yay. I love that.
Oh my goodness.
In the green book.
Yeah. 2025 edition. Well, yeah, thank you everybody for joining the conversation today, participating in the dialogue. Uh, Please, everybody, make sure to go follow Nitty Gritty Acres on all your social medias, and hey, book a stay if you got it like that. Sounds like
Hmm.
you'll have a great time. Thank you once again to Sharana for joining us as our guest tonight. Thank you to the Indianapolis Recorder for being a partner organization of the Kepler Institute and a content partner with the Mumbo Jumbo Community Conversation Series. And as always, if you want to support the Kepler Institute and support our ability to keep having conversations like this, keep building and supporting wonderful community builders like Sharana, visit donate.kepler.org and leave us a donation. Yeah. Uh, and we'll see y'all at the next one. Oh, and join us this weekend, Saturday the 12th, for Tree Love down at Octavia's Visionary Campus. That is this Saturday, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, this Saturday, the 12th, at Tree Love, will be not only planting a whole bunch of native fruit and nut trees, practicing some agroforestry on our 17 acres, practicing some ecological restoration, but we'll also be giving all of those away as well, all of the same plants and shrubs and bushes that we'll be planting. So you can take that adventure home with you or to your neighbor or to your friend. And yeah, that's all we got for today. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Night, everybody.